So we're at the Oculus, and I'm excited to try it out. And there's some important information that some of you might want to know. As there's only a developer version yet, we're going in, and I hope it will be nice.
We've spent the last year working on building Developer Kit 2 as an update to our original development kit, something that gets a lot closer to what we want the consumer version to be, and lets developers make much better virtual reality experiences. DK2 has a variety of different improvements, largely around comfort and presence.
The sense of presence in virtual reality is something fundamentally new. You actually, for the first time, your brain says, okay, I'm comfortable in this environment. I know it's not real, but I think it is. With the second developer kit, a year of R&D, we're getting a lot closer.
DK2 has lower latency, higher frame rate, higher resolution, and low persistence, along with full 6-DoF positional tracking. All of these combined allow for much better gameplay experiences and a much more comfortable user experience.
With DK2, we now have sub-millimeter accurate position tracking, which means that the views can respond the way it actually should in all cases.
That allows you really to lean forward, lean backward in space, lean around corners. It just opens up so many gameplay opportunities and changes fundamentally the way you can develop content.
Another huge improvement that we made is using a low persistence display. Our low persistence display shows an image only for a brief amount of time. Then the display goes dark until the next frame comes in. Doing this at a high enough frame rate means that your brain does not see any motion blur or any judder in the resulting image.
2 years ago, I thought all we needed was faster pixels, get to 120 Hz OLED response time, and we were done. And it was really exciting to see Valve's research, which demonstrated so vividly what a difference the low persistence display makes.
We've also greatly reduced the latency in our system by improving our code, video pipeline, and display. Our original dev kit was 60 frames a second, not because that was what you really need for a great convincing VR experience. It was just the best display that we could get our hands on over a year ago. Now we're using a higher frame rate OLED display that really makes a huge difference.
It's really not that there's just one thing that's better about DK2, it's how all these new features come together to really take the experience to a whole nother level.
We've spent the last years figuring out what consumer virtual reality needs to be. We know what we need to ship. Everyone at Oculus is passionate about building the best virtual reality technology in the world.
One of the big goals at Oculus is to bring together the smartest people in the world. We're working on hardware, software, we have creative, we have infrastructure. The only way we're going to deliver virtual reality, the holy grail, this incredible pursuit of presence, is by recruiting the very, very best in the industry.
I think that's one of the main things that held virtual reality back for years. The right group of people never came together to work on the right problems. I think that's what Oculus has done. We're bringing together the best developers in the world, the best talent in the world, across multiple disciplines, to build something that everyone thought couldn't exist.
The virtual reality community is stronger than it's ever been before, and we would not be where we are without them. There are hundreds of virtual reality experiences being created, more content in the last year made for VR than in the last 20 years combined.
It's going to be the small teams that go out and do something that's so fundamentally cool that it winds up defining the language for the platform.
We can't wait to see the experiences that come out of all of these new features.
I just tried the Oculus Rift, and it was an amazing experience, and it was really different from what I expected. So there's some questions I had before, and some questions just came up while I played it. So first thing I want to ask is, it really, really feels realistic. So if you're in the Oculus, you just feel like everything is real, and you can just touch everything, and yeah, you actually feel like you're in the game. So do you see any problems that maybe there are like horror games or shooter games that feel too realistic to the person, so they can kind of get in shock or something?
I mean, potentially. Virtual reality has been used for a long time for not just gaming, but also all kinds of other applications. And one of them is like post-traumatic stress disorder treatment. It stands to reason that if you could treat PTSD, I guess you could traumatize people in VR too. But I think most developers aren't looking to make things that traumatize people. They want to make things that people want to play. So I think that's going to be a kind of a self-regulating problem. If something's so intense that it freaks people out in VR, it's probably not going to do super well. So, and you know, Call of Duty also, I wouldn't say it's the most realistic experience anyway. It's kind of like an action arcadey, action movie style type of interpretation of war. I think, that type of stuff is going to be really fun in the Rift.
Yeah. I do think we are seeing that horror games are pretty terrifying in the Rift, unlike an experience on a monitor, right? Because you feel like you're in this space. And the ability to create sensations of like claustrophobia, like extremely tight spaces, or having a monster like right up in your face, it's a lot more powerful and a lot more visceral. And so I think those experiences are definitely, they're a whole different ball game on the Rift, but we'll see.
No, I'm excited for this actually, because I want to know what the limits are actually for the body and the mind and the techniques. So, so actually speaking about the development and what's your actually dream? What do you dream of? What would be the final goal forever, and what do you think is possible already?
In terms of development, well, I think for us, at least with the first consumer version, we really do want to deliver an experience that blows people away, where you put it on and you actually do feel like you're in a completely different world, a completely different space. And it really does take your breath away. And I think there's a lot of different aspects to that. There's a lot of improvements that we still have to make to get there. One of the most powerful things, for example, that we've seen is actually having two people in a space together. So having like multiplayer gaming, VR gaming, is going to be one of the best things about the medium, I think. So yeah, I think in the end, long term, we really do want to deliver that holodeck-like experience, like the Matrix, where you go in and you're just completely there, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. But again, a long way to get there.
Yeah, the long-term goal is to have a virtual reality that's indistinguishable from reality. So it's going to take years, maybe decades to get there, but we will get there someday, and what we have right now is a great start.
Okay, so it looks like you're planning like on projects on and on after the Oculus Rift. So maybe there will be like also not only virtual reality glasses, but only gloves and stuff.
So we can't comment too much on the future roadmap, but you are right that we are actively investigating all the other aspects of VR. Because if you, like Palmer said, want to create a reality that's indistinguishable from it is hard to pronounce, from real reality, sight is only one of the senses that's required to convince you that you're there, right? Actually, humans rely a huge amount on audio, for example, right, and hearing. Another one is touch. And input, and how you interact with the world, not just both interacting with objects, but we rely on tactile input a huge amount as well. So we're always developing and researching new things, and we don't have any announcements to make at this time, but there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes.
So I guess we answered a lot of questions, but there's one left. So you talked about the motion sickness problems, and I was asking, do you work like with medical stuff? And do you have like people who are just investigating the medical issues about it and stuff you can do with it?
I think there are a lot of people working in this space. There have been a lot of people working on both motion sickness and simulator sickness for a long time. I think we've come a huge way. We definitely have a lot of people internally messing around with prototyping and game design, always looking at what are the most fun experiences in VR that are the most comfortable. Because basically, when we develop a VR headset, if we really do convince you 100% that you're in this space, it's very, very, very easy to make someone dizzy. I can put you like on a merry-go-round game, and you'll get dizzy incredibly quickly. I can make the merry-go-round go super fast, and that's what you expect, right? Because that's what would happen in real life. So it is one of those things where it is this double-edged sword of it is so immersive that it has the same problems as reality, and it really does come down to, once we nail the hardware, having great game design attached to that so that gamers both feel not only immersed, but really comfortable.
And that's true even with a perfect VR headset. Even if we get to the point where it really does feel as real as reality, there's still going to be games that make people feel bad. That's not something that we can necessarily solve. Our goal is to make the hardware and our side of the software so that devs can make comfortable content, but then it's all up to them. If they want to make something that has people feeling disoriented, that's always going to be easy to do.
So I guess you just develop an interesting platform for every publisher out there, and I hope some will jump at the opportunity. And yeah, I guess I thank you for the interview, and go on. I want to buy one.
Thank you. We're looking forward to shipping it to everyone.
I'm going to buy one.